Welcome to the Cave. Thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Listen, viewers that tuned in, man, a couple more days, we'll see season two, Grand Crew, as Anthony Holmes. We've been waiting for season two to come up, my friend.
Oh man, no, trust me. If you've been waiting, I've been waiting even longer. I mean, I'm super excited. We're all super excited for the world to get a chance to see what we've been working on, and it's a hell of a season. So super excited for Friday.
Right. We're gonna jump into season two in a few minutes. But I was like trying to do some research on you, man. I want to get to know a little bit more about you. I saw that you grew up in the entertainment industry, but what pushed you to get into it?
It's a good question. It's like which came first, the chicken or the egg? You know, like you said, I definitely grew up in and around the industry. Both of my parents are actors. A lot of their friends are actors, writers, directors. I definitely was shy about entering into the industry myself, and at first fell in love with sports. So that was my first love, and then in time, I think I just found that there was like a hole inside of me, almost,
Mm,
or something that I wanted to get out and express. And so I made the decision in 10th grade. I kind of call it divine intervention in some ways, but I made the decision, excuse me, to then sort of delve into my artistry, and from then on, I've pretty much just been doing that, So I don't know. I think it definitely helped that I was around my parents and that artist community, and always going to plays and always going to, see art exhibits and on sets and stuff like that. So that definitely was always feeding me, even though I wasn't quite aware of it. I think at the
yeah.
time, and so yeah, I think it just kind of made me into who I am today in many ways. And then yeah. That's sort of a decision I've made for myself. I'm happy that I did it because I'm not tall enough to be a basketball player, so it panned out for me in the end.
Yeah. What was when you told your parents you're going for it, everything? What was their reaction, and what's the one best of advice they gave you throughout this journey that you've been going through so far?
Yeah, no, good question. My parents have been really supportive all the way through. Initially, their concern was just to be sure that I was in it for the right reasons. I
Mm,
mean, as I'm sure you're well aware of, you've probably had many people come on the show and say this as well, but it's not for the faint of heart. A life in the arts is there's a lot of ups and downs, there's a lot of ebbs
yeah.
and flows. So you want to make sure that you're in it for the right reasons. And furthermore, my parents were just always stressed that I should take my craft seriously and put my craft first and enjoy the process as opposed
Mm,
to like the product. Um, um, and so that is what I've always taken away from them, and I'm glad that they have really stressed that upon me because I've been through so many ups and downs, ebbs and flows, and what has sustained me is my love of the craft and my passion for the craft, and that deepens the more and more that you immerse yourself in it.
mm. You mentioned the ups and downs. What makes you stay focused, even if you're having a bad day with something? Next day, you're like, all right, forget everything, keep going.
Yeah. What makes me stay focused? That's a really good question. I'm not having the best of days today, matter of fact, if I'm being completely honest. So I think what it is again is back to just like, okay, what can I get back to? What is gonna be my guiding force? So like for instance, for me, it's like sometimes I'm not having a bad day, then maybe you want to just write, writing
Yeah.
helps. That could be your guiding light. Or perhaps you just take yourself to go see a movie, and get yourself out of your mind. Working out, these things are things that have helped. And I've just sort of acquired certain tools that help me along the way. For instance, today I'm like, I'm going to go see a movie. I'm going to go see a movie that maybe that'll inspire me perhaps. And I'll come back and do a little writing. And again, just going back to just the craft and just the love of the craft that always sort of helps me get out of those moods,
Mm,
because you can't affect what's happening outside of in your life in
right.
many ways. It's external forces, you know what I mean, that you have no control over. So you try to just do the internal work, I
Mm.
guess.
You mentioned writing and everything, like throughout your career, is that something you want to like dig more into, like get behind the scenes also to work behind the scenes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went to school for directing and film. So I
Okay.
went to school. I kind of had a really non-conventional route, but I ended up full. I'll go back a little bit. So I ended up uh, essentially sort of dropping out of high school and getting my GED, and then
Mm,
starting my career a year after I finished school. and then the writer strike happened, and then I went back to school. I went to a school in Chicago called Columbia College Chicago, and I studied there, and I went there knowing that I'd already, been doing some professional work acting wise. I was in some classes and working with some teachers, but I also wanted to explore directing. I'd done some directing in high school as well, and
Right.
so it was equally important to me that I learned more about that side of film. And so all that to say, when I ended up coming back to LA, I left early to come back to LA because I had some job opportunities in the acting realm. I knew that I was going to eventually segue back into directing, and so writing is an opportunity for me to direct essentially. So I'm writing a couple of projects right now. One is a semi autobiographical family drama, if you will,
Yeah.
that I hope to direct as well. That I will direct as well. And so yeah, so one sort of supports the other in many ways. My acting supports my writing supports my
Right.
directing, but the writing is definitely a vehicle for the directing right now.
Mm. What's Aaron's goal? Do you have like a goal that you want to hit someday, or even like a role that you kind of hope you get your hands on?
Man, I'll say this: it's hard to really pinpoint like a role for instance, because I think roles come into your life at the time that they're meant to come into your life.
Mm.
Um, I will say that I would love to get to an opportunity, get to a place in my career where I can pick and choose what I want to
Okay.
do, where
Yeah.
I have a little more autonomy and over that.
Yeah.
Um, Outside of that, what was your first question? I'm sorry, you said, and then the
Like
first
the
question.
ultimate goal. Like, what are you hoping that you get your hands
Yeah, I
on?
mean, the ultimate goal is just to have some freedom of choice and to be able to work with certain directors and actors that I've wanted to work with and to
Mm.
be able to do like all three of those things that I listed before, which is the writing, the acting, and the directing. And just to have that sort of creative freedom would be my goal.
Mm.
I'm not looking at any one person's career anymore and going, I want that career,
Right. Right.
nor am I saying, "Oh, this is the role that I really really want to do." I mean, look, I will say this though. Never mind, I'm making an amendment to that right now. I will say this. This is probably crazy to some people, but Kanye West for me is like such a polarizing character, and I would really be interested in playing him in a biopic just because of how fascinating he is, or a
Mm.
character like that. I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely drama is something that I would love to do more of. I started on the stage, so I liken myself to more of a dramatic actor than I do comedic. Although obviously I'm on Grand Crew now, which is a half
Right.
hour sitcom. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of characters out there, but ultimately, I just think that one, I also want to just play roles that give people that allow people to be seen, that otherwise are
Mm.
not able to have their stories told, So I want to bring light to that, and yeah,
Awesome. So yeah, let's jump right to Grand Crew now.
sure.
Premiering in a few days. It was see you as Anthony, but when I was doing some research on you, I saw that you didn't originally go in for Anthony.
Yeah, no, I did not. I originally went in for
Did I read Noah? And then
Noah.
you tested for Wyatt.
Yes, yeah. It's been a while now, but yeah. So I went in for Noah, tested for Wyatt, and that was a crazy man. That was a crazy process. I mean, I'm so glad that they kept bringing me in,
Mm.
because you hear about it in this industry. You're like, hey, well, they're bringing you in, so that means they like you, and
Right.
sometimes you get the role, but many times you don't, and that can kind of, like we were saying earlier, there's so many ups and downs that can sometimes beat you down a little bit, right? You can get a little despondent and get a little discouraged. And so in this instance, Phil Augusta Jackson, Dan Gore, um, the two EPs on the project, they kept bringing me back, and I guess they were just trying to find a place for me, trying to find the right
Mm.
place for me. I think we landed on the right character. I mean, Noah and Wyatt are a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun exploring those characters and bringing my own sort of flavor to them. But ultimately, yeah, I tested for Wyatt. We went through that test. It went really well. It felt good about it. And then they were like, "Hey, we don't think this is going to go your way, but we've got this character, Anthony. We know you haven't even read for him, but like, would you consider testing? You don't have to read
Mm.
this test." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." At that point, I'd fallen in love with the project. I'd fallen in love with the people, and so I definitely wanted to be involved any way I could. So yeah, it worked out in the end. And then yeah, Anthony was my character. Yeah, and I think I tested with Carl Tart, who plays Sherm, and we had a really lovely time in that session. And then yeah, it all came together. And honestly, when we did the table reading, our first table reading, shout out to Justin Cunningham, who does play Wyatt. I was like, there's no way. He's so brilliant in the role. He's so funny in the role. I was like, there's no way they gave it to the right guy and I'm in the right role, and everything
Right.
happens for a reason. And so all those, all those things you hear, all those adages you hear are very true, and were true in this particular instance as well.
I went back and I watched a few episodes just before we were going to talk and everything. And what I like about Anthony too, he's a happy guy.
Yeah.
Most of the time he's like very happy. He's like, he loves his job. I feel like being an accountant and everything. What draws you to the role? What drew you to the role?
Yeah, I think it's his love of his job.
Mm,
Right. And like you said, he's very happy. He seems very like content. He knows what he wants.
okay.
He knows who he is, I think, and knows who he isn't in many ways. He knows what he wants in his work life, maybe less so in his love life, which I think we'll start to explore more,
Yeah.
as time goes on. And in this second season, you get a little bit of that. But what initially drew me to him was, like I said, Anthony was a UCLA graduate. And Anthony then went from I imagine in my mind, he went from UCLA, then went to this firm, and then started working with the
Yeah.
firm, and has risen through the firm. And that's so different from my from my life and from my experience, that it
Yeah.
was fun to sort of get to like assume that type of person,
Yeah.
and find sort of different idiosyncrasies or nuances or character traits than my own, and sort of start to find that. Now, I'd be lying if I said there's not parts of me in this. Yeah, obviously there are,
Yeah.
but that was what initially drew me to the role. It was a lot of fun to kind of like tap into that. He's also, I feel like, as you may have seen, and I don't know which episodes you watched, but like the first episode, he with the coasters and everything with the roommate Sherm, I mean, there's certain OCD
Oh yeah.
qualities that he has. He's very particular, and I really have fun leaning into those moments, as well as like he's a straight shooter. I'm non-confrontational in real life, so like to be able to kind of just say what's on your mind or what the audience is thinking, that's been a lot of fun for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about Anthony? And is there anything you would change about him if you could?
Oh man. Okay. Well, my favorite thing is how driven he is, man. How much he loves his job. That's my favorite thing. If I could change anything, I would say maybe his dance moves. Uh, Maybe I would love for him to be a better dancer than he is. I mean, I think the first season, what is it? He only knows how to freak dance, as they say. So,
Mm,
yeah, I would say that's what I would change about it. I give him some dance
yeah.
class.
Obviously, I know you can't tell us that much about season 2, but how would you describe Anthony's journey from season 1 now heading into season 2?
Yeah, I think I sort of touched on this a bit earlier, just a second ago, but I think for me, um, we see him in the first season, like you said, he's very in
Mm,
love with his job. I think his job comes first, and then as we sort of move into this second season, I think the arc is really going to be finding more of a work life balance,
okay.
and and exploring potentially, a love life of some sort, and what that means for
Mm,
him, and how that might help him grow and evolve into a better man, a
mm,
well-rounded man.
mm.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word love, and one of the main focus of the show is also the love of wine.
Yeah.
I was told to ask you what's your favorite wine or winery?
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Right now, Brown Estate, which is in Napa, they have a wine called Chaos Theory. That's fantastic. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon, but I can't remember if it's a blend of some sort. But Chaos Theory, Brown Estate, that's my favorite right now. In fact, I'm looking at my bar over in the corner, and I'm looking at it. It's right there. Yeah, and we've got it propped up and everything. So nice. Yeah.
That's awesome. So throughout the series and everything, what theme or messages do you hope like the viewers take out of this when they start watching this show?
Yeah, I think well, theme would just be joy. you know, happiness, love.
Mm,
Look, the world is not always the most ideal place, you know,
yeah,
and so and of course we've been dealing with a lot over the past few years with the
yeah,
pandemic, so on and so forth. So I think I just want people to be able to escape for a little bit, and to laugh and forget about their troubles, you know, whatever troubles those may be, and um, and then outside of that, you know, I just yeah, I think that hopefully they'll be able to see themselves represented in one of our characters or all of the characters. Maybe they'll see parts of
mhm,
themselves. I think I think our show is a very human show, and we tell human stories
yeah.
that a lot of people can connect with, and so that's my hope. That's my aim.
Mm. Speaking of that, the cast, so you have a wonderful cast. A few years ago, I had Nico Kielum on from Arrow when he was on Arrow, and now obviously he's
Oh
on here
yeah,
with you. He is one of the nicest guys
yeah.
ever, I believe.
For sure, absolutely. No, I was just texting with Echo before we got on. In fact,
Yeah,
no, he's wonderful. I mean, he's wonderful, but so is everybody in our cast, and we all like get along, which is not often the case.
right.
You know, so we're very lucky. We know that we're very lucky, and we hang out a lot. In fact, we hang out as the cast at a bar here in LA.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't say the name of the bar, but it's
Right,
here in
right.
LA, and yeah, man, we really enjoy being around one another, and Echo's fantastic, man.
Mm.
Echo's an amazing guy for sure. Very
Now,
creative, as they all are.
oh yeah, definitely. All right, last question about the show now is what do you hope audiences will remember the most about your performance on this show?
Oh man, I hope that I surprise them a bit. You know what I mean? I hope
Mm,
that I can constantly keep surprising them. I think there are moments this season where we'll get to see parts of Anthony that we didn't see the first season, and you know, if we're willing, if we're able to have a third season as well, then I hope that will continue and on and on and on and on. I never want the audience to feel like they can predict what I'm going to do next, or as the
yeah,
character, or as an actor. So definitely just unpredictability.
that's awesome. Aaron, we have Grand Crew March 3rd premiering
Yes.
season 2. How can the viewers and listeners not find you on social media, keep up with you for more news on season 2 and possibly season 3, hopefully?
Yes, yeah. Please find me on Instagram at Aaron Taylor Jennings. That is my only social media for right now. But then also, please watch Grand Crew this Friday, March 3rd at 8:30 p.m. So we can't wait for you guys to see this new season. It's going to be amazing.
That's awesome. Aaron, I want to thank you for getting a few minutes today. This was great. Let's get you back on in the future.
I would love to. This was awesome.
Thank you.